I love that at country music you have great songwriting, you have songs and you have guitar solos, and you don't really hear that at other formats anymore. And I love the song form just as a pure storytelling art form. So it's it's really fun for me to bring my music to this format in the hopes that it finds its home, because it's hopefully where it belongs with regard to writing stories, and just like with Leaving Las Vegas, all the albums, particularly in the early days, were kind of like country songs, and I love guitar solos. And country music really now is where you find rock and roll. So it's what I listen to all the time, and it's what all my friends listen to. I've been playing with my band now for a while, and it's really an extension of what I've always done. If It Makes You Happy, and Strong Enough to Be My Man, and Steve McQueen, Winding Road, and all these, First Goes the Deepest, all these things are kind of steeped in the same instrumentation as what this album is. There's a little more pedal steel on this record but I've always had a lot of slide and a lot of B-bender, and so it doesn't really sound that much different, which is kind of nice. I think that my early records really probably would have gotten played on country music had they come out now, but rock and roll and pop radio was a lot different when I started up. I have loved being in Nashville. My sister's lived there for 25 years. I've been going there for a long time, and I've had great friends that I've had the honor of collaborating with out on the road. Amy Lou and Vince and Steve Earle's always been amazing. Being now a Nashvilleian for 8 years, I'm really learning a new trade. I've always typically written from my own mindset, and I've had the luxury of writing some esoteric lyrics and haven't gotten them played. And they're lyrics that mean something to me and to my life, and for whatever reason people have gravitated to those songs, like If It Makes You Happy or Winding Road or whatever. But in Nashville, when you write with some of these amazing songwriters, they have such a great way of telling a story in the 3-minute format that is very succinct and graphic. You are telling a person's specific story, and you are allowed to do that. And I've really learned a lot. I've learned a lot from writing with these great songwriters, and it's stretched me. It's been really invigorating, because I've been doing this now for 20 years, and it's great to feel like you're an old dog learning a new trick. You're expanding your vocabulary and really learning how to make a song just explode from the first line of the song. And it's been really great. I've loved every second of it. The inspiration for the song Easy was really how in country music there's been a little bit of like a Jimmy Buffett influence in there in the last few years. And it's everyone's dream to put your feet in the beautiful blue waters of the Caribbean or to go to Mexico. And obviously the last few years we've seen the economy be just devastating. And a couple of years ago, gas was so expensive, the word staycation became part of our vernacular, and that's really what the song is about. It's about not being able to afford going to the beautiful blue waters and resort type living, but really staying home and figuring out a way to have a getaway in your own house. I recorded in Nashville. We did 5 days of basic tracking, or 4 days of basic tracking at Blackbird, and then we moved over to my barn. I have a barn right in the middle of town. I've got horses, a couple of cows, some chickens, right in the middle of Forest Hills, and above the barn, above the horses, I have a studio. And so I would walk down every morning, and we would record, and Justin Ebank and I produced the record, and we used basically the same 5 or 6 guys on the whole record. And then at 5:30 at night, I'd walk up and have dinner with my kids, and kids were always back and forth, pretending like they're playing instruments, and the great smell of horses beneath us. It was a great way to make a record. It's my feeling that country music is music for the people, and it's about the people. It's about the everyman's struggle. People who are not specifically country, like Tom Petty and Bruce, have always written those stories, and that's why we relate to them. They're just like one step away from the outlaws. When you get into the true heart of country, I go to Kansas City and Boston and New York, and people are listening to country music, and I feel like that's where we are finding ourselves as a people. And particularly as we get older, a lot of what's happening at pop is very, very young, and it's not written about what we're really encountering every day. And I think people are really have always gravitated to the songs that represent their everyday life. I grew up in southern Missouri, and our closest town was Memphis. our closest city was Memphis. And a lot of the music that I grew up listening to, particularly in my high school years, was Southern rock. I mean, that's what was on the radio, and it was also what I'd come up with, and a lot of that Southern rock was very influenced by country music, and so, and I still gravitate to it. You know, I still listen to, I'm a Skinner fan, I'm a Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark, all those great songwriters who influenced some of the Southern rock music I gravitate to. I think kids are now really gravitating to classic rock in a big way. You know, they're familiar with songs now that were classics when I was growing up, and I think that's a testament to people just wanting songs. You know, the song as a medium is an emotional experience, more than a great groove, more than a great bass line. I loved Billy Sheryl so much. His songwriting, his production, what he did with George, with Tammy, with Charlie Rich, Behind Closed Doors. I love that kind of big storytelling. I love the production. It's so beautifully lush and emotional, and that was really the first song I wrote for this record. And I have so much gratitude to Brad Paisley, because he's the one that came to me after the CMTs when I performed with Loretta and Miranda, and he said, "When are you going to make a country record?" And I said, "I would love to do that, but I want to do the kind of country record that I feel is an extension of the music I've already made." And he was just so supportive, and that was the first song that we wrote, and probably, I think probably the most important song on the album. You know, I don't really know what the rules are anymore in pop music. Somebody was telling me, you know, pop music, the chorus is basically the same line repeated 4 times, or now it's, you know, a groove and a tagline. And I grew up listening to songwriters like Cole Porter. I was raised by musicians, and I listened to standards a lot, and was always, I guess, subconsciously aware of the arc of a melody and the beginning, the middle, and the end of a song. And that's kind of how I approach songwriting. And that, in the pop world and pop radio and rock and roll, I guess that's become sort of an obsolete formula for writing songs. So the great thing about country music, and what as I'm writing with great writers, what I'm learning is just how to tell a story and make it laid out so that everyone can relate to it and feel like that song was written for them. And it's been a lot of fun. I think that's really the only rule, is just, you know, telling the story and giving it. There's always a little something for everybody in every country song, and that's one of the things that I've always loved about Johnny and Willie, and certainly Loretta. And yeah, the first time I heard myself on the radio, I was in a rented car because my car had broken down. I had an old Corvair and it wasn't working, and I rented a little convertible Volkswagen for the week while it got worked on, and I was driving through Beverly Hills of all places, and Leaving Las Vegas came on the radio. And it was just such a California experience, you know, beautiful weather, top down. My song came on the radio, and I'm just looking at the cars around me, just going, you know, it was just such a surreal experience to be in the height of glamour and, you know, not decadence, but money, you know, right there in Beverly Hills, and to have your song come on the radio. I just felt like, yes, I made it, you know. Where is everybody? It's playing. So it was a really fun moment.